Keep telling yourself it's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. That was the ad campaign for this film. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen. This week we are doing another movie review. This is The Last House on the Left. Written and directed by Wes Craven. Also produced by another legendary horror director, Sean S.Cunningham. You also had Steve Miner involved, who worked on Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 as well. The film stars Sandra Peabody, Lucy Grantham, David Hess. Sandra Peabody plays Mary Collingwood. Lucy Grantham plays Phyllis Stone. There are a couple of young teenage girls out getting ready to see this like heavy metal concert. The band is called Bloodlust. Back then, really, heavy metal didn't really exist much other than Black Sabbath, you know. So I just thought that was a really cool name, Bloodlust. That sounds like a great band. That sounds like a kick-ass metal band I want to go see. And Mary's parents mentions the band. Yeah, I read about them in the paper. Don't they sacrifice chickens on stage or something? Right before the father goes into a really bizarre conversation about his daughter not wearing a bra and it's showing her nipples. It's like, it's a little awkward. But yeah, Mary is like maybe 16, 17, so is her buddy Phyllis. Yeah, and they're getting ready to go to this big concert. It's a huge deal. And on the way they decide, maybe I'll hit this dude up on, this dude looks like he's maybe a pot dealer, so let's hit him up. Maybe he can get us some pot so we can have for the concert, you know, get lit up, you know, drink and party and have a great time. So the dude says, well, you know, we got some back in our room, you know. So the girls are lured into the room with this group of crazy, psychotic people. They're like a gang or something. And you hear on the radio, when they're driving, the two young girls are driving, and you hear a little bit on the radio that there's escaped killers on the loose, you know. And they're led by this dude Krug, who is just a sadistic madman, you know. And I'd say out of all the actors in the film, this guy you really buy it, you know. He feels like a greasy psycho, you know, like a gritty, grimy, nasty slasher killer, you know. You really believe it. And all the violence in this film feels very real, you know. I'd say as far as the acting goes, it's a little shady, but I really feel David Hess did a great job. And yeah, the young women are very believable. They just seem like regular, typical teenagers, you know, out going to raise hell, going to this concert, you know. And what happens is, once they reach that room and they meet these people, you know, at first they're partying, drinking, having a good time, but then things start to get taking a turn for the worse, and they realize what they're dealing with. You know, these are not just regular partiers and drinkers and alcoholics. They're really sadistic madmen. They're lunatics, you know. They're a group of lunatics. The leader is Krug, and then you had Sadie, who's just a crazy girl, you know. Talk about girls gone wild. She's sadistic as well, and you have this guy Weasel. I guess he's like a child molester, and he's a rapist, you know, and a murderer. You know, they're all murderers on the loose, you know. And then you get these dim-witted detectives, these dim-witted sheriffs. They're like the Keystone Cops or something. It's like hilarious. It's like Andy Griffith or something, you know. And one of them is played by Martin Kove, who was Kreese in The Karate Kid. I loved him in The Karate Kid, but he's just a dim-witted dumbass, you know. It's painful sometimes watching these cops try and, you know, and missing all the signals, you know. They literally pass by the killer's car, you know, and they know they know they've never seen the car in their town before. It's just a small town, and they just decide, nah, it's nothing, let's just get it going, you know. And of course, that's the killer's car. So what happens when they meet these crazy people, the young girls, Phyllis and Mary, at one point the dude Krug punches her right in the stomach and knocks her right out, brings her on the floor, and you know, he rapes her. And then the girl Mary sees it, witnesses, and he's like, she just backs up and she's like, oh, horrified, you know, like, this is what you're dealing with, this is real, this is not a joke anymore, now you know what you're dealing with. And what happens is they throw him in the trunk of their car and they take him out to the woods for even more mayhem. They really do a number on these girls, let me tell you. They make them commit sexual acts. They stab them repeatedly over and over, and they make them do sexual acts on each other, you know, stripped naked out in the woods with no clothes, you know, it's freezing out, it's crazy. One point, one of them does get away and almost gets out to the street. You can see the street, you can see cars pass by, but the dude is waiting right there with a machete, you know, and things do not end well for her, and that is Phyllis. And once Phyllis meets her destiny, they go back to get Mary, and Mary talks to this guy, Junior. Junior is probably the least intimidating out of all of them. He may be almost sane, you know, he just has like a drug problem. He's the son of Krug, who's just a complete lunatic. He has like kind of a soft side, and Mary kind of sees that, so she kind of tries to play with that, you know, tries to get him to go over to her house. She's literally right across the street, you know, that's where she lives. And yeah, it's just a terrifying film. It's really graphic. The violence even today is very shocking. And the sexual deviousness, you know, is very shocking. And it's a hard film to watch. It's not a fun film to watch at all, you know. I'd compare it to like I Spit on Your Grave or something like that, or the original Hills Have Eyes, which was also directed by Wes Craven. But yeah, it's a really sick, demented movie. But you know, the funny thing is, they're playing this ridiculous hippie music, this like happy hippie music, and it kind of like bothers me during the movie. It's like weird. It's like so offsetting, you know. It's like this, like if the film had some scary horror music, you know, like a Halloween or a Nightmare on Elm Street, like a really dark theme, or but no, it's got this really weird happy hippie music. It's like almost like Charles Manson cult music playing the guitar. It's just very weird, and it's like, you know, jarring. It's a bit jarring. So yeah, that's the only, if I had any problems with this film, I'd say the soundtrack is very strange and it doesn't fit what's going on in the movie. It's like this happy music, but this horrific stuff going on in the background. It's like weird, you know. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. But I will say it was a great first turn from director Wes Craven. Definitely showed that he had the chops to make it in the horror business, that he had the directing skill. And he was just getting started after this. Then he went and did Hills Have Eyes, and then all the classics, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, all that. So yeah, you gotta hand it to Wes Craven. He's one of my favorite directors of all time. An absolute master of horror, and this is one of his classics. So guys, running, see The Last House on the Left, if you guys haven't already. It's from 1972. The Last House on the Left. Brilliant horror film starring Sandra Peabody, Lucy Grantham, and David Hess. I give it 2 devil horns up. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.